Let's say the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll do roll call.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hoorah!
Okay, let's call the roll.
Julie Braga.
Here.
Mayor Connors.
Here.
Vice Chair Hermanson.
Here.
Larry Jarnes.
Here.
Alex Buttress.
Here.
Mayor Medina.
Present.
Wayne Sword.
Here.
Sheriff Feldman.
Here. Okay, we have quorum, call the meeting to order. And so we have some minutes to approve from February 26th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? We have a motion by Mr. Hermanson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Mr. Jarnes. Someone call the roll on that.
Julie Braga.
Aye.
Mayor Connors.
Yes.
Vice Chair Hermanson.
Yes.
Larry Jarnes.
Yes.
Alex Buttress.
Yes.
Mayor Medina.
Present.
Wayne Sword.
Yes.
Sheriff Feldman.
Yes, ma'am. Aye, aye.
Yes. I know, I guess down in Palm Bay, it's only I, right?
It is aye.
Okay, all
It's a
right.
Marine Corps term, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, okay. My dad would know that. Okay, Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of things. The magazine in front of you, I think you might have gotten them last month, just in case you didn't. It's the Tourism Journal. We publish that once a year. It's got a lot of what I would call more technical information and look at tourism from a research and analytics perspective, but there's also other articles in there. There's actually a pretty lengthy article on beach renourishment that's pretty good, and then there's a couple of stories that Laura wrote about marketing analytics and things we do both on the PR side and the branding side of things. So enjoy that. Nothing really super outstanding in STR. I did want to point out on page 11, TDC, we had a really good month in January, actually record month. So that was a little surprising because we have been hearing some sort of, I wouldn't say, negative, but just kind of tempered input from the hotel community on January, and maybe that was because vacation rental really stepped up and kind of took a pretty big share. They were at, I think, 37% of TDT. Usually they're down around 33, 34%. So for whatever reason it may be, it could be a seasonal thing where you get snowbirds coming in wanting to stay a little bit longer during that month. But I will say, our marketing in the fall highlighted the winter travel season. We were really kind of pushing for that. So it was kind of nice to see the results from a TDT perspective kind of paid off by that marketing. Other than that, our budgetarily we're good. Our big, we're right now, in our biggest season. So in February we kicked off the spring spring marketing campaign. That'll be a pretty heavy spend, and then of course as we get into summer, our summer spend will start in May, and that'll run through August, and that'll be another big number. So that's really where our big budgetary numbers get spent. Nothing really significant in any of our other budgets, other than we did get a little bit of the FEMA reimbursement that we were expecting on the beach projects that we had been doing, particularly the South Beaches. We got almost $4 million from FEMA. We're expecting another tranche of that coming in the next few months. That'll be another big amount of money, and we'll alert you to what that was when we get it. Other than that, Mr. Chair, I think that's all I really had, unless there's any questions on any of our reports.
Are there questions for Peter? Any questions for Peter? No? Okay, so I guess we're ready to go on to, the marketing?
Yes, sir. So the marketing support program criteria for 25-26, so this is for the next fiscal year. I'm going to ask Deborah, who's really been working on this program pretty heavily from the very inception of it and kind of the beginning of it. But just to set it up, you'll see anything in black was basically what was there previously. In blue are suggested changes. I'm going to ask Deborah to go section by section for changes. If there are no changes, we'll just keep going through. If there is something that you want to stop and discuss and maybe make changes to our changes, suggested changes, that's fine. We can do that, and we'll take a vote at that time. In general, I think we felt it's a good program. We just, as we've gotten into contracting, as we've begun to do some of the marketing for some of these groups, we've just had some, I think, things that came to light that are, kind of insight, and that kind of gave staff thoughts about different things that we would change in the program for next year. And I'm going to highlight when we get to the budget piece, I want to talk a little bit about budget for next year, because it's not going to be quite what it was this year, and I'll get into that discussion. But Deborah, if you want to start in section 1.0, which is on page 16, she'll just kind of highlight what the changes are. And we'll just keep going, like I said, section by section. If you want to stop and have a discussion, please jump in and let us know, and we'll stop and pause and let the TDC members discuss. And then if a vote's needed, we'll go ahead and take a vote at that time for that, for whatever those changes are. Otherwise, we'll keep going through it until you stop us.
Okay, page 16, please, 1.0. So you'll see, obviously, things that were updated are fiscal year dates. So there's a lot of 24, 25, 25, 26. So we went ahead and did that. On section 1.0, paragraph 2, you'll notice we added a couple lines right there. This is to better clarify the option for the district offices to allocate funding. Section 2.0, we've changed the word from questionnaire to application, so you'll see that in a couple different places. Down into the middle of that paragraph, again, just doing a little bit more clarifying than what we had in there. So the sports funding amount will be just clarifying per room night calculation. Up at the top.
I have a quick question. I just want to make sure I'm clarifying, because this is the first time I've seen this. On the reimbursement portion of that in paragraph 1,
Yep.
that clarifies that they don't have to have TD
So,
marketing, they can market themselves and then get a reimbursement? Is that what that's saying?
so there's basically,
Sorry, she's behind me.
I know, sorry.
It's okay.
So there's basically 3 buckets. It's being called the marketing support program. So bucket number 1 is saying, I want money allocated, and they can do all or a portion of,
Okay.
to marketing support, and that's, the marketing team is handling that, and that's been seemingly very valuable. And then bucket number 2 is they can spend the money on expenses that are directly impacting their organization or their event and get a reimbursement. So they spend it, receipts, send it to me, do all that. And then bucket number 3 is some money being set aside for the district offices to allocate as they see fit and go from there.
And I just have a question operationally. Is this an extensive amount of work for the TDO, or is this manageable? Is there any concerns about that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a learning year for us, and I think, Laura can maybe speak to the marketing side. I mean, I think it seems to be manageable from her perspective. Not everyone is opting to get marketing support. I think if we had gone the route where 100% of everybody had to have marketing support, that would have been a lift, and we would have had to kind of work through that from a timing perspective. But we had our ad agency at the ready to help. So we have a way to flex up and down if we need to. But from the other side of it, going back to the old reimbursement side of things, Deborah is quite adept at that part of the program, so that part's not an issue.
I like this options. I do. I think it's a really great way to set it up. So I'm all for it. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure it was.
Yeah, I think we heard when we
possible.
had the workshop, there was a lot of people that were sort of asking for that option because they just needed that flexibility, because there's expenses that they incur that they just are really looking to they just want to, whatever it is, build the stage, pay for, police help or security or whatever they need, and just get reimbursed. They don't really need the marketing piece, so.
Okay.
And we're
Thank you.
finding a lot of the people who want the marketing support don't have the expertise there.
Okay.
So the reimbursement side, they seem to have that under control. So we're able to help some of those smaller organizations with the marketing.
Great. Thank you. That answers my question.
And back to what Peter was saying, so, 3 steps backward, basically what happens is when the funding is awarded after the board approval, then, I prioritized, events that were happening right away. And I had personal conversations with everyone, and I explained to them these options. And then, kind of said, why don't you think about it? And they came back to me with what they think the allocation should be. So, I really think that they appreciated having the flexibility and letting this funding work for them.
Okay, great.
I have a quick technical question. Did we get it in here, Peter, where even though the district offices will allocate, to 2 events, that the board,
Right.
with board
Yes, sir.
approval?
Yeah, so if
Okay.
you look in section 1, if you look about 3 lines up, it says this is to be approved by the Brevard County Board of County Commissioners, right after that section. And I think there's 2 other places where it appears in the criteria, and it says the same thing, so each time.
Okay, I guess I didn't see it in the 4.0 process and key dates. I see the red in there, but did not meet the minimum attendance. Each commissioner office must grant at least 2 organizations. So,
Oh, you might have had, sorry, sir, you
is that the old
probably
one?
have the version that I gave you the other day
I do.
before we corrected it, so let's see.
I'll just throw that in the,
It's in the packet.
throw that in the file 13 there, okay?
You need blue.
Okay, sorry.
We've changed the text to beautiful blue, so it's not hurting your eyes, too.
Well, you see, I have the colorful glasses today because I left my reading glasses in the car. These are Carol's that she lent me, so I'll blame it on that. The truth is, there was a spider in the car, and I got out of there as fast as I could and left my reading glasses in there, if we're being honest. Okay.
Smart move.
Very, very good. Approved by the board. Thank you.
Okay, so.
That was something we added the other day. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep. Yes,
Yep.
sir.
So 3.0 was untouched, that's on the top of page 17. 4.0, again, some dates, and then that same exact paragraph that was in 1.0 has carried over, and it's in that place right there, along with the schedule, some updating of where the schedule will land for the application process, and come back to the TDC and then to the board for approval. I'm going to page 18 now. So 5.0 eligibility, this is also another place where that paragraph describing the district office funding is with that last line. Some more dates. Top of page 19, lots of date changes. Focus on number 7. This is a new, this is new, and again, it was sort of a little softer, and we were trying to clarify that information. One error that I found, another questionnaire needs to change to application at right after number 7.
Yeah, I'm just going to comment on 7 really quickly. You know, there were 2 events particularly that we were concerned about, or 2 groups. One is a museum that may move out of Brevard. There was some talk about the Wizard of Oz Museum moving. Obviously, we don't want to award somebody funding if they're not going to be here. So this would allow us to sort of restrict that or claw it back if we had to, potentially. And then there was another group where we weren't sure if they were going to actually hold the event. Obviously, if there was marketing spent, it's a little tough to claw that money back, but we wanted that language in there, so it gave us some flexibility there.
Okay, I'm going, do you have a question?
No, no, ma'am.
Page 20. 6.0, some dates, and then Peter's going to talk about the funding.
Yeah, so just what I did was we're still working through the budget, obviously, for next fiscal, but I started looking at the cultural budget for next year, and last year we had 600,000 available. We've spent down some of that carry forward that we had kind of logged in the cultural fund. So we reduced that to 500,000, and then we'll pair that with 240,000 from the marketing. So that gives us 740,000 to work with. When we started looking at last year's awards, all the awards that we gave out, in order to kind of get to that 740, we made some adjustments to the funding level. So what used to be 15,000 is now 12.5. What was 20,000 is 17.5. What was 25 is now 22.5, and what was 50 is now 45. The other thing that we changed, the other thing is we're going to hold, Mr. Chair, we're going to hold that 100,000 that we had for 20,000 per district office. We're going to hold that the same, so that number is the same for the district offices, so we didn't want to change that. But we did put up to 10,000, so the thought would be if an event didn't hit the 5,000 mark in terms of attendees, but was still a good event, you could award up to 10,000, if that's okay. I wanted to get your thoughts on that one. And then secondarily, for sports, we heard from the sports committee, and Wayne can probably attest to this because he was chair of the sports committee a couple of years ago. We had started awarding based on room nights and doing it $15 per room night. And so we started giving some thought to that. Why give just a round number to a sports event when they know exactly how many room nights, or we know how many room nights they actually earn? So rather than say, $20,000, we'll say, okay, if you're going to give us 1,200 room nights, it's 1,200 room nights times 15, and that's your award. And then later on, you'll see that if they don't, for some reason, if they don't hit that number, then we'll reduce the award to whatever it is. So if they don't hit the 1,200, let's say they get 1,000, fine, we'll give you 15 per room night for the 1,000. So they'll still get an award, but they may not get as much as what they sought initially based on how many room nights they actually deliver to us. So I think that was something that, I don't know, Wayne, if you wanted to comment, but that was something that the committee seemed to be, pretty good with in the past, so.
I was on capital facilities that time.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. And sports, we didn't even meet last year,
Oh, that's right, we didn't meet last year. I'm sorry, I'm calling you out on.
so I have nothing to
Yeah.
say.
Okay. Trust me, that's what it was. So, sorry.
Say the part about the 10,000.
Okay, so the thought was each commission office would get 20,000, but they'd have to award no more than 10,000 per event to 2 events. Or you could award, more. You could do 5,000 per event to 4 events, up whatever you want to spend up to the 20,000. But we were using the 10,000 as a cap only because the next tier, which is the 5,001 attendees or more, is 12,500. But if you wanted to change that, sir, we're happy to adjust that.
Well, I'm thinking of some of the events this year, and I don't necessarily. I don't know if the 10,000. So let's just take one of the examples that I did, which was the Melbourne Art Show, which is in Wickham Park. they're, you know, they don't necessarily need marketing support. It's a word of mouth thing, so they're not looking for that from the TDC. They're strictly, you know, comes down to paying, you know, off-duty cops, you know, for a detail to handle the traffic, and then, you know, there are park fees and such, and so that's what they were looking to cover, and I think that was $15,000 this year.
That's right,
And
yes.
so we were able to get them there, so I don't know, I think I'd like to leave that flexibility, so
Okay.
I'll leave that to the boards, or open that for discussion here if you like, but
I support the commission to have the flexibility to spend that 20,000.
Whatever they want up to the
I
20,000.
mean, I don't know how everybody else
Okay.
feels, but it.
So Deborah, we're going to change this, I think.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with that as well, Mr. Chair.
let me say one final thought on this, if you'll permit me here. It's not the commission offices. My thought was just simply that we had 100,000 available to us that hadn't been distributed, and there are some of those events that just kind of fell through the cracks, but they're good community events. You know, I don't think anybody would argue that, or other good things, you know, Field Manor and Green Gables, you know, stuff like that. And so it's not necessarily the commission offices that I'm interested in. It was kind of, you know, I expect everybody to be an expert in their districts and the things that are good community events that they could just easily identify. It was meant to be more of just an easy way to do it, so.
I agree with you, and the overlap is that those things that are good for the community events are good for tourism. So
Right.
that's where supporting them to make that decision for their district, I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, and you know, this year, Commissioner Altman, I give him credit, he allocated some dollars for Field Manor, which is in District 2 in Merritt Island, not in District 5, which he's the commissioner, so anyways, it actually worked out okay so far this year. Okay.
So, I mean, based on that general feedback, I think, Deborah, what we would do is just say up to 20,000 and don't take away the restriction about it having to be a minimum of 2 events. So if they wanted to do 1 event for 20, they could do that, or they could do however many events, as long as.
I do like the no more than 2 events in my mind, so it just
do like
doesn't,
that?
so it doesn't get messy. I think
Okay.
when
so
we
we'll
get to the
leave that
board level and they've got a maximum of 10 events, I think that just makes it easier.
Okay, well, that's easy, then we're just, so we're on page 20, we're under support amount tiers, where it says district office awards, we'll just say up to 20,000 and just leave it at that. And that's all I think that's the only change we'll need, is that right, Deborah?
Yes,
Okay.
well, one teeny change, we're just going to need to edit that paragraph that reoccurs in section point 1.0.
Well, it's still, I don't see why, because it says award amounts must not exceed the minimum award amounts in section 6.0, but if you change section 6.0 to up to 20, then you're covered. See what I'm saying? There?
It says office must grant to at least
Must
2
grant at least 2
organizations.
organizations.
Yeah, but I think the commissioner said he was okay with the 2, with saying 2, right? Is that right, sir?
We're saying up to.
Up to
Yeah,
2.
it says at least 2. I see your point. So you just want to strike, you want to strike at least and just make up to. Or put a maximum to 2, if you want to do that.
Up to, got it. Okay.
Everybody's amenable to that so far? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Is this workshop, the commission workshop? Is that
We had
supposed to be-
we had a commission workshop, I don't know, a couple months ago. And we had just about 3/4 of the groups that had applied from last year came and spoke. Yeah. So we got a lot of feedback from them on that.
We had very good participation from those groups. I thought they did a very, we were only allowed, or able to give them a couple minutes each, although people did go over, to say quickly, what their challenges were. And we heard in that workshop, which I think was very good for the board to hear, that Some people are good at marketing, they know what they're doing, and others, admittedly, that's not their area of expertise, and so they're willing to let the TDC handle that for them. Some groups, like I said, just had the challenge of, hey, we got to pay for the park and we got to pay for cops, and that's a hard thing for us to come up with before the event. And so I thought it was very meaningful. And did you say we had 40 different
I'd
folks?
say about 40, yes, sir.
I think so. And I gave each one of them a plug too. Let them, say when their event is and all of that. So it was a very good workshop.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so other than that, in that section, the other, I'll just finish out that section and then let Deborah take over from there. But the other item was related to groups that have multiple events. So there's a couple of event organizers like downtown Melbourne, downtown Cocoa Beach, where they have multiple events. And because of the amount of work it might be potentially to support all of their events, we just are limiting it to 3 here. So that basically, I think it works out pretty well, because like, for instance, Melbourne had a food and wine event, and then they had some other event, I think it was a Christmas event or something like that, that they wanted us to support. And then there was one other later in the year. And so they had about 3 events, even though they might have 20 events throughout the year. They just picked 3 for us to give them marketing support on. So that's just stating that in there, that limitation. And then on the sports side of things, we want to make sure our sports commissioner is the one that's doing the analysis on the room nights. That's a pretty thorough vetting process. Not only do we work with the hotels, but we also work with the event organizers on their rosters. And we look at the rosters and we look at how many people came from outside the area based on their address. And then we are able to calculate a number of room nights based on that. So we want to be in control of that, and that kind of gives us that statement. So that's pretty much it in that section. And then Deborah, if you want to pick it up from 7.0 on,
Yep.
you can.
7.0, so we're at the bottom, page 21, nothing, and then on to 22, just really dates and the word application changes, not anything of substance. I'll do information meetings again, I don't have the dates for those at this moment. 9.0, just application, the word application being updated. On to page 24, fiscal year and end of cycle reporting dates. 12.0 starts into CAO's area, and just really the word application is being updated throughout. And that is one tiny little change on page 31 for public records. And that is the end of the criteria.
Any other questions on the whole marketing plan there? Questions, comments? Okay. Okay.
Second.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Julie Braga to approve with the changes. And
Second.
then we have a second by Mayor Medina. Let's call the roll.
Julie Braga,
Aye.
Mayor Connors,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hermanson.
Yes.
Larry Jarnes.
Yes.
Alex Litros.
Yes.
Mayor Mendina.
Aye.
Wayne Sword.
Yes.
Chair Feltner.
Yes,
Thank you.
that's great. We'll show that passes unanimously. Thank you.
And so now, we're not quite done, but just a
Uh-oh.
little bit more. We've got the application, which begins on page 32. Not a whole lot of substance has changed except for dates, just updating a few things there. In the application that you'll see on the last page of this packet is, there's an event income and expense report that they'll need to complete and upload into the application.
This was just so you know, the addition of the expense and income report was a request from a commissioner office. We'd had these in the past, and I think some people found it valuable to have that, and just requested that we make sure that we include that again on the application. So that's in there now.
Last year, we also added a checklist, which, you know, there's a bunch of documents that the applicant has to add into it, and so they check it off, and then they add that also into the application. We found that handy, so we're going to carry on with that, too.
Okay, questions on that?
And sir, before a motion is made, if whoever makes the motion, if they could also just add that all of this will be subject to a final county attorney review. I know they want to take one final look at everything, and then if there's any minor grammatical changes we need to fix as we get it ready for the board, so we don't have to bring it back, if they could just mention that. The language for that is on the front of the agenda under number 3.
Okay.
So,
I move to approve the application subject to final county attorney review and minor staff edits.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Connors, and we have a second by Mayor Medina. Call the roll.
Julie Braga,
Aye.
Mayor Connors,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hermanson,
Yes.
Larry Jarnes,
Yes.
Alex Littrus.
Yes.
Mayor Mendina,
Aye.
Wayne Sword,
Yes.
Chair Feltner.
Yes. And we'll show that approved. Thank you very much.
very good, thank you.
Okay. I don't think we have public comment. I suppose I should open the door and see if there's anyone in the hall. Yeah, maybe the spider's out there. Okay. Board reports. Just go around the, we'll go around the table here. Julie?
I actually do have something.
Okay.
I don't normally, but the Florida Restaurant Lodging Association is in Tallahassee right now advocating for many bills that are impacting tourism in our state. And I'm surprised we're all here, but we should be there for Tourism Day. It's on my agenda of things to do eventually. Oh, okay, great. I'm glad Mr. Braga is representing us up there. But FRLA has announced their Rose Awards. Again, this is an award that recognizes frontline tourism professionals in our beautiful Space Coast. And their date is set for September 11th at the beautiful Courtyard Cocoa Beach. And I want to just ask everyone to please nominate somebody and save the date and really support this event. We have no other event like this in the county, and it's really uplifting, and it's a really beautiful event. So I think we need to make sure that all the tourism entities, entertainment, restaurants, and lodging recognize our great people.
When you said frontline?
Yeah, I'm sorry, usually front of house. like,
Front of the
or,
house, okay.
You know, like guest-facing associates, housekeeping.
Okay.
Front desk, not managers or
Right.
leaders. This is
Yeah.
for the
No.
people that are impacting hospitality
No,
on a
no
day-to-day.
hoteliers? They're exempt?
No,
Okay,
no.
from this one.
We get a greater reward every day.
Okay, very good. Mayor Connors?
Thank you, Commissioner. I actually just got back from Tallahassee, drove back this morning, up there with League of Cities and pretty much every other group that is trying to get our legislators' attention. But something that I just want to let you guys know about is I'm in the process right now of bringing Titusville and the North Brevard community together so that we can really focus on one event that can really kind of bring in some tourism. Back in the day, everybody knows the Indian River Fest that, you know, kind of created the duck race and some of these things that then ended up moving in the southern part of the county. So we're looking at bringing that back in a big way. And what we're hoping to do is call it the Indian River Oyster Fest and bring in the environmentalists as well and make it a big deal. So I'm meeting with a lot of these service organizations. I'm bringing them all together. It's amazing when you're the mayor, you say, hey, I'm having a meeting. People show up. So, you know, this is going to be outside of government, and I think doing something that's not necessarily through council or the commission, it can be more effective and more efficient. So we're working on that, and I know our Playhouse is kicking off their big capital campaign, so any support we can provide to them will be appreciated, because I think that's going to do some really big things in Titusville and North Brevard. So, thank you.
Very good. Vice Chair Hermanson.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay. Larry Jones.
I do not have a report this month.
Okay. Alex Littrus.
No reports, sir.
Okay. And Mayor Medina.
Well, I'm glad everyone yielded their time to me. First, I'll start off with the opportunity to commend Mayor Connors on that effort of creating a family event in the north part of the county. Congratulations, sir. That's exciting. I again want to remind everyone that this Friday at 0900 hours, or I should say at 9 o'clock in the morning, we will be having a ribbon cutting regarding Sacrifice Park. And it is turning out to be a monument worthy of their sacrifice. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being a part of this process, this vision that's coming to fruition. And I'm truly excited about it. Needless to say, I walk the grounds during the evenings just to look at the progress leading up to. And so please, put it on your calendars. It is something that all of us in Brevard County should be proud of, that we built a sacrifice park worthy of that sacrifice of our first responders. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Let's see if I can get there Friday morning, right?
Yes,
9
sir.
o'clock?
Yes, sir.
Oh, 900. Wayne Sword.
Nothing to report.
Anything else, Peter?
Just two quick things, and by the way, Mayor, we did send a notice to all the past TDC members about that, so I think some of them actually are going to be coming as well, so,
Thank
and
you.
I'll be there as well, so.
Thank you,
Look
Peter.
forward to that. Just as I mentioned, John Giantonio, our Deputy Director, is up in Tallahassee for Tourism Day, just representing our office and thanking legislators for all they do for us, and just make sure that we're represented. Next meeting is April 23rd, right here at 2 p.m. Also on that last page, if you save that last page, that's all our remaining dates. And also our marketing committee will start meeting next month, as will the beach committee. So those are those dates there for your folks that you've selected to be on those committees. And that's all I had, sir.
Okay. You already said the next meeting date, so that's great. I think I've said everything that I need to say. I appreciate staff making these changes and getting this together, and we'll have it when we'll go to the
So
county
our thought
commission.
would be, yeah, we'll look at April if we can get it ready for, it might be that second meeting,
Yes,
second
okay,
one in
right.
April, but we'll try to bring it in April. So
Okay.
we can get going on it and start opening up the applications over the summer, and then
Mm-hmm.
start evaluating those, and then bring that back to, those will all come back here to the TDC, once all those applications are in, so.
Okay. All right. Sir?
Quick question. Are you able to just give a verbal update on the various capital projects status, just for, if you don't?
I'll tell you what I know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had talked, I think, right before the meeting, we were talking about Valiant Air Command is in construction of their convention hangar. It's going to be under air hangar, and they're on their way. I don't say they're well on their way, but they're along, having some progress there. If you've been by Veterans Memorial Park in Merritt Island, you'll see there's a lot of dirt being moved for the amphitheater. Nothing coming out of the ground yet, but they're getting the site work, and all of that has begun, so that's a pretty big project. Still waiting to hear from Keith on a groundbreaking for the aquarium. That was tentatively July, he said, but I don't have a date yet, so as soon as I do, I'll let everybody know about that. Obviously, we should all be there. And then for Brightline Station, they are still in the process of seeking that major grant from the federal government. We're working through contracting with them right now on the $5 million that we awarded with the board's approval, but they're still waiting on the 45 or 47 million, whatever that larger amount is. I think those were the major ones. Was there one I forgot, Tom, that you think of, or?
Gordon,
I'll bring back next month if I forgot something, but I think those were.
Lighthouse?
Oh, the Lighthouse they are still working through. They were going to try to finish their project this year. I don't think that's going to happen. I need to get an update on where they are with that one, but they're in construction, but I don't think they're far enough along to say they'll be done by the end of the fiscal. So I'll get an update on that one for next month.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I have a quick question. How's the season look? You might have to use your mic.
There are headwinds. Last minute weekend visitor, which is a large part of our business, at least on the beach, is a lot softer than last year. And DOGE's impact on government employees' ability to travel with a $1 limit on their government cards has had a significant effect on our bookings with a lot of government cancellations.
Now, that's interesting. In his part of the county down south, and you and I worked at hotels down there, that defense is what pulled us through when, in the shoulder season. So you're feeling that down there?
Yes. Yeah, there's concerns, and I haven't started seeing the direct impact of it, but there's lots of talk. I mean, every day the guest is saying,
Oh,
I don't know if I'll be here another day.
I forgot a major contingent. I'd be happy to share letters, but we are actually getting letters from a large number of Canadians, Best Westerns and international brand. So we get a lot of Canadians that are Best Western on the beach. Come every year, stay weeks at a time. We're getting handwritten letters and emails saying, I will not come to the United States to spend
Yeah.
my loonies in the United States. And this was written up in the Journal yesterday, too. I mean, major impacts to border cities up in the north, so.
And I have Canadian guests that said they were canceling because of fear of safety concerns. I was like, okay.
So between sort
Those-
of consumer sentiment, I think hit a 12-year low yesterday, according to the reporting, and limits on government spending and Canadian visitorship to Florida. Last study I saw several years ago, but there's about 15 million Canadians east of the center, which is relatively unpopulated. And they estimate between 1.5 to 2 million Canadians come to Florida every season. So 10% of the eastern Canadian population come to Florida, in addition to all the other visitorship. And they're decreasing visitorship in huge numbers. I think bridge crossings from Canada, I read yesterday in the Journal, into like the Buffalo area were down by 50% in the last couple of weeks.
And for us, we've heard reports, not at my hotel directly, but we've heard reports that government credit cards are not authorizing. So literally government employees leaving with balances in their rooms. Like, this is what's starting. This is just the beginning. This has not impacted my hotel, but this is what we're starting to hear. So we're all waiting. I mean, our market is diversified in the government sector, but some other areas have specific department generators only, so I haven't seen it exactly, but we're anticipating and waiting for what could potentially be a huge loss.
I haven't talked per diem in a number of years, but what is per diem current?
183 for 10 months. It's bifurcated. 183 for 10 months, and then it's
166.
166. Is that correct?
It's, in season it was 208
208
or 206.
208 for February and March,
March,
Okay.
and then
and
it
like
went,
166 for the other 10 months of the year.
yeah, 166.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty big swing. I remember it used to be like 77, 89.
We fought hard for that.
That was,
and-
that was back in the
I mean,
last century.
Cocoa Beach area has done an incredible job lobbying and educating the GSA as to, our seasonality. But Yeah, we don't want to lose that. I mean, we fought so hard for that over the years, and,
You're not concerned you're going to lose the per diem as much as just government travel is
Well,
well,
happening?
this is temporary.
It's a formulaic calculation where they take a census of hotels
Right.
used by government travelers on an annual basis, look back year through March, and then discount it, and then establish the per diem for the area. And so if rates go down, then the per diem formulaically will go down.
Now, can I just ask, do you find yourselves adding a lot of other things in there to, along with per diem? Per diem comes with these other things?
No,
No.
no, per diem
You don't get-
government
you don't get
customers
You don't
don't.
get 2 drink tickets?
No,
No.
no, they don't pay for parking. They don't get charged for parking. They don't get charged, I mean, nobody really charges resort fees in this town or in Brevard. so
Breakfast included, that kind of stuff?
If it's required by the brand, yes.
Yeah.
I see.
We're not doing as much as but in the South County, we did see this seasonality, is a lot of hotels, as we shop and watch the market, did not get to the per diem rate. So there's some great concerns about what that impact will be.
Right.
In the coming years and how that, affects the formulated GSA
Right.
plan. We had some very peak days, like normal, kind of, our Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but we saw some fall off outside of those peak days.
So outside the government, if I could just ask one last question, so how's your summer weekend travel or
Our-
occupancy look?
Our forecasting?
The pacing is well off of last year. But, it all depends on the pickup and pacing shifts. So with uncertainty, people don't plan further ahead.
Right.
They plan, more last minute. And then you just have to wait and see if it
Do you find this with
materializes.
big groups too? Is it your group rooms, similar situation?
Well, the most of the group business in our market is government-related. And so we've had significant, meaningful, not catastrophic, but meaningful number of government group cancellations based on what's happening in Washington.
And a much shorter booking window than in years past. So that's where that uncertainty takes into play. Like, we can usually know 1 month from now or 2 months, generally, the pattern. That's what I've been talking about for the last few meetings, is that the unpredictability and the standard pattern is not the same as it had been in previous seasons. Like, we staff it, you staff it, you get ready for it, you rock and roll, and you get through season. We've had some dips in the season that I was just like, what is this week? Like, it didn't make any sense. So there's just been some unpredictability and not as much stability as we had in the last few years.
Yeah.
Is the
Historically,
social,
good times and bad, we've sold out in Cocoa Beach in March, and we have not this season. We're down, and rate is starting to soften.
a lot more inventory added too, right?
Some more inventory, just, the one now recently in Cocoa Beach, but that opened in March. Cape Canaveral.
Yeah, I was
It's
going to
the
mention,
most-
we're over 11,000 hotel rooms for the first time now. With-
11,000,
Yeah, we're over 11.
so the
yeah.
highest
Yeah.
supply we've ever had.
Moratorium.
What'd you say, Tom?
Moratorium on new hotels.
Larry may have something to say about
All right, one more.
Yeah, Larry can build it, that's it, after that, we're done.
Capitalism,
Oh,
right?
we'll see. There's a lot of uncertainty, and it's consumer sentiment.
Well,
So-
I mean, even things like, I remember having many discussions about, the cost of gas, right? That even influences people driving across the state to go to the beach for the weekend. So, okay, well, I appreciate all that information. Anything else before we go? Thanks. We'll see you at the next meeting. Thanks.
Thank you.
The opinions expressed by any member of the public during any period of public comment do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, or the program sponsor, and are solely those of the presenter. The Board of County Commissioners of Brevard County, Florida, Space Coast Government Television, and the program sponsor hereby expressly disclaim any and all responsibility or liability for any defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by any member of the public during any such period.